You've already helped people, you've coached, you've trained, you've taught, whether that's been formally in your business, in your career, or even informally in your community, in your friend groups, in your church. You have done things that have transformed people. But when it comes to positioning yourself for corporate opportunities, you hesitate. Questions start swirling through your mind. Well, I don't have a degree in this, and I don't have any past corporate clients. Or maybe I have worked in a corporation, but that was through referral or just a part of my job. I don't have a real opportunity that I can speak to in these conversations. And that waiting for your experience to magically appear out of thin air is the reason why people who are less qualified than you are getting into these rooms and landing 5 and 6 figure opportunities. Now, I don't know about you, but I'm not going to let that happen anymore. So if we have to get into this video so that I can show you the ways that what you have right now is good enough to get in these spaces, then baby, we're gonna be here all night. Not really, but we're gonna do everything we need to do in this video to show you that you have everything you need to go after these opportunities. I have 3 things for you, and I'm gonna make them really quick. First, mindset shift. The proof is already sitting in front of you. I want you to just let that sit in your spirit, adapt it as truth, borrow my belief that this is true for you. That experience that you've had, even down to thinking about whatever's crossing your mind, well, I helped my friend be able to do a thing, or I helped my partner be able to do a thing. That is your proof. Let's get into it. 3 things. The first one is your past results. So this matters because you don't need a portfolio of invoices to have credibility. Companies buy results and transformation. So if you have led teams, whether that's been informal or formal, maybe you've led a committee. I used to be a chair on the commissions board for our women's commission in the county that I lived in. That was a leadership position. I was a treasurer, and then I was a member as well. I can utilize those experiences to be of value to organizations. Those things are the very things that can help you land paid speaking gigs, build structure in other people's business, improve morale, and create clarified direction. Past results are the proof. Here's where people get stuck. Well, if they didn't pay me, then it wasn't a contract, so I can't talk about it. If it came through a referral, they'll dismiss it. If it was consulting, yet you were giving advice to help people achieve a transformation, people downplay it. I recently talked to someone who's not yet a client, but we had a great conversation. And one of the things he said was, I've done all these things, but because I don't have a degree in this thing, then I wonder if people will take me seriously. And that mindset is why people sit on gold waiting for permission that is already theirs. Here's how deep this can go. Minimizing your results doesn't make you humble. It actually makes you invisible. And it leaves room for people, again, who are less qualified to come in and do the work that you should be doing. We don't want to let that happen. And if you're thinking about 2 to 3 moments where you've really helped someone and you saw them get a real transformation, but you brushed it off, those are the things that I want you to start to look at to determine what your framework and process is, because that is your proof. And that's just the first thing. If this has already clicked for you and you're like, look, I already know some things that I could be offering to these organizations just based on that. Before we move on to the second 3, I want to let you know that this is what we help people be able to unpack. And so if your wheels are turning, I want to give you the opportunity to continue the momentum by booking a corporate strategy call with us. This is where we're going to walk you through what that framework should be and how you're going to position yourself with corporate organizations. We're going to give you that strategy. And if it's something that you want our help executing, I will invite you if it's a good fit. Or if not, you can take the strategy and start to put it in place yourself. I want to go ahead and invite you now because we only have limited spots that we take every month. And again, if you're here and those wheels are turning, I want you to jump on this right now. All right. So let's get to number 2. The link to book your corporate strategy session is going to be in the comments. So make sure you grab that now as we jump into the second point. All right. The next piece of proof that you already have in your wheelhouse, in your area of expertise right now, is your process. Here's why this matters. People aren't just buying your story, they're buying your method, especially if you want to do speaking, training, where you talk people through strategies. Your story is going to anchor that in. Your process is going to anchor that in. chances are you already have repeated steps that created a result. I did this for myself when I thought about how my story can be applied to a framework or process that I can teach people, right? And I came up with a 3D methodology. And the way that I did that, it was guided through another program that I was in. But I looked at every success that I had in my life where I really felt like I nailed it, down to getting my first car, going to my dream school, moving to my dream city, getting my dream job, like all the dream things that I have created thus far. I sat back and looked at what did I do in each of those circumstances that created the result. And that's what birthed the 3D method, which is a lot of what I talk about in my corporate speaking when I talk about how to achieve, your dream life, or, how to be the CEO or owner of your life. That 3D method is the undercurrent of that. I don't have a degree in psychology. I don't have a degree in human nature. That's not even what it is, right? I have lived experience that allowed me to create a process that I can now say, hey, this worked for me. This also worked for other people. This can work for your organization. That's just what it is. And you find the right spaces where those are. So you're not winging it. You're not unstructured. You have a system, and that's what buyers want to see. Where most people get stuck is they think it needs to be formal. It needs to be polished. It needs to be, New York Times bestseller in order to be valuable. But think about it. How many times have you yourself, as I just gave you that example, walked through the same approach that you shared with someone else and they got value from it? Believe it or not, that is your intellectual property. That is intellectual property at its most basic definition. Intellect that you have turned into something that someone else can either borrow, buy, or use. It's property, right? It does not have to be a thesis in order to be valuable. Here's how deep this goes. Your unspoken process is your leverage. This is what turns you from just being a person who can support or have nice ideas to share into a real solution. I want y'all to think about this. Everything is made up. It is all made up. The STAR method that is like popular for interviewing is made up. I would be willing to bet, I haven't done the research, that whoever came up with that method was not some well-known. I know they weren't, because if they were, we would know the person who made it. We don't even know the person who made it up, right? So there it goes to show that these methodologies that companies depend on or endorse or use are literally all made up, and a lot of times use third-party data, right? That's another thing that I think is under leverage when it comes to process, procedures, and building out frameworks. You're not creating anything new. My 3D method is not something that's like wildly revolutionary. I just package steps that I know to work for me into a methodology that I can teach and train on and be able to communicate to people. That's the real skill. The steps in the process, I mean, they're a dime a dozen. People can go and find time management skills or, all these different things elsewhere. But if you can put it together into a package, wrap it into an identity or a story that they can feel and it can get results, people are more likely to jump on that than to just jump into a sea of information and try to figure it out for themselves. That is your value. So it allows you to be able to license, train, and walk into a room and be paid 5 figures. That process is what's going to be your selling point. So this person that I've spoke with, that I've been talking about throughout this video, one of the things he came to me and shared is that he wanted to license his framework. He wanted to build a consulting agency. He wanted to train other people on his methods. Well, guess what? The process is going to be the undercurrent to all of that. That is the foundation that you'll need to have in order to step into those larger spaces. So you have to remember that your process is a strong asset. When you can frame it, you can sell it. So let's get into point 3, which I alluded to in the second point. But before I get into that, I want you to drop in the comments. Is this helpful? Are you still here, right? Let me know if this is something that is helping you be able to look at this in a broader perspective and see what you already have that can be positioned with corporations. So let me know. All right, point 3 is your story. Your story matters when it's positioned with purpose. I talk to people who say, I want to be a motivational speaker. I have a client right now, and that's what he said in our discovery call. I want to be a motivational speaker. Now, when we started working together, I told him motivational speaker is out. Now, granted, yes, schools, universities, maybe some organizations will hire motivational speakers and pay them very well, right? I'm not about that. I'm about creating solutions and transformation because I believe that will be highly valued always over simply just motivating people. Motivational speaking to me is like going from gig to gig to gig, right? Having to get additional clients when they have events and they need you and they want to get motivated, they'll call you. But when I work with people, I'm looking for larger ways that you can go deep and wide with an organization. Motivational speaking to me is very surface level. When you position yourself as what one of my coaches called transformational speaker, or you position yourself as a solution, you then get into a space where you don't just have to provide speaking. You can provide consulting work. You can provide strategy work, whether that's doing like an audit of their business. It's just so many different ways that you can work with this organization when you first present yourself as a solution. So that story helps to frame that. When you position your story well, it actually builds trust. It shows that you've been where they are and you know the way forward. So with this particular person, he had a transition from the military into ministry and now into leadership coaching. That's not just a backstory. All of those things are building his authority. So while he was saying, I don't have a degree in this, I don't know if they'll take me seriously, I'm like, but you have military experience. You transitioned into ministry. These were all the leadership skills that you developed. Matter of fact, if you have military experience, people value that more. I would be willing to bet people value that more than someone who's a PhD in organizational leadership. We know that person is book smart, but we know a person that has a military background has a totally different level of discipline and leadership. It's just assumed than most people in the world. That experience, that story will actually be the thing to show that you have the proof to do the thing. So people get stuck in this by oversharing or skipping their story. I'm a victim of this, y'all. And thinking, this is just my thing that I did. I don't need to share and talk about this, but you absolutely do. They think the story is too messy, too scattered, not relevant to what you're doing today or what you're looking to do. But when you pull out your story and tell it in the right way, the one that shows why this work matters to you and why it set you up to be able to be positioned in what you're doing today, it activates trust instantly. Here's how deep this can go. This isn't just about marketing and getting online to learn how to do more storytelling marketing. No, this is about ownership. When you own your story, you stop waiting for your resume to match and shrinking into spaces that you've already outgrown. And you start showing up with presence. You start showing up with power, and you start showing up with the right positioning. You don't need any more testimonials. You don't need to figure out how a corporate client is going to fall from the sky. You just need the clarity and confidence to position your framework using the P's, the things that I shared with you today, your process, your story, and also your past experiences, your results. That all becomes the framework, a lens that people can see clearly from where they are to where they want to be. This is the type of work that I do with people and why I invited you earlier to join me for the corporate strategy call. So here's your second invite. If this illuminated something for you and you're like, yes, I know that I have something here, but if I can distill it down to something that can be valuable to organizations that I can speak confidently about it, I can run with it, then the corporate strategy call is going to be for you. It's on me, so you can put away your credit card and we're going to get on the call. We're going to have a conversation about what you have to offer. I do this quick assessment where I look at what is the experience that you're not talking about that maybe you are shying away from that corporations actually want to buy. We're going to map you out a loose strategy. And as I said, if you decide, and I feel that it's a fit as well, that we should work together to execute on this, I'll make you an invitation. And if not, you have the blueprint to go and take it as you will and execute it. So all you need to do to book that conversation is click the link below. We'll have that conversation. No risk, all reward, because you're going to be getting your strategy. And then you're going to be taking your process, your past results, and your story and turning it into 5- and 6-figure contracts. Now, if this was a good fit for you, if this was something that you sparked something and you don't want this time to end, go ahead and check out this next video. Be sure to like and subscribe so we can do more of these videos. Talk to you soon.